You want us to not stand by Israel, where we reside in, where we take part in the IDF, where we have rights. And you want us to stand next to a people who will call us nigger or sell us in a neighborhood in Gaza.
This is a Visegrad 24 series about the Israel-Hamas war.
We are back for another Visegrad 24 interview with Lilaq Logan. We are here in Tel Aviv, and 3 months have passed since that fateful day on October 7th. Naturally, Israel is still in a state of mourning its losses, and also very worried about those hostages who still have to be returned. When you speak with your friends, what would you say is the general atmosphere now, 3 months in?
I don't like taking the war with me home, so I don't really talk to my friends about it. But when I have conversations with my soldiers and on base, it's just like a down, trying to understand how we will come out of this situation. And I have a friend who is being held hostage, so it's a lot about that. And sometimes people coming with remarks of not believing that they're alive because why would they keep them alive? You know, little things that come from the side that really mess up with the mind or the thoughts on the situation. But the coming together as a community is what strengthens everyone at this point.
And you mentioned that you are in logistics in the army, that because a lot of people say that moving things from point A to point B might not sound as interesting as flying a fighter jet, for example.
But I'm in logistics in the Air Force. So.
Ah, yes. That's how you make those planes actually fly and drop whatever needs to be dropped. Yes. There is another aspect of the war which is also non-combat, but it is very important. I'm thinking about the propaganda war, the online war, the fight against misinformation, also sharing your own perspective of why it is important to fight, why you are in the right. And you are very active on social media, sharing news with the world. Which platforms do you primarily work on?
Instagram, TikTok. Most of the people that watch my videos post them on Facebook and X. I haven't seen it, I've just heard.
And what type of content is it that you post that people are interested in?
Basically, part of the fact that I'm on the ground, I'm here in Israel, and I'm in the military talking about my experience and the experience that I've been through throughout my whole life, because I've stated it on one of my videos that my grandma died in a suicide bombing. So I am well aware of terrorist acts, and I speak from a place of experience and also a place of pain and frustration, but I know also how to be respectful of a person who has a different opinion, and also being able to articulate what you want to say in a way that people can actually listen, because you don't always have to attack. And I don't just attack people with different opinions, and I don't mind having conversations with pro-Palestinians, and I have. And I've actually had a conversation with a pro-Palestinian who has a lot of followers, and her whole concept when it came to me was posting my videos and posting pictures of me and cursing me out and saying I'm ugly and I'm Israel, and I just responded to her, "Thank you for helping me share the truth, beautiful." And that's just a sentence I kept sending her. And literally 2-3 weeks later, she was like, I want to apologize. Like, it's a long message of her apologizing and understanding the importance of the war, because you have to understand that even though numbers are not matching in this war, the war is against a terrorist organization, and that is basically terrorizing both sides. And what is going on in the world is people are justifying terrorists and trying to debunk and bring down an entire country that is defending themselves. And it's important to explain that. And the side marks on the side about color of the skin or children.
It's being an apartheid state.
Yeah, it's weird because no one's been here. And I started off my journey in this social media, whatever you can call it, by saying anyone who hasn't been here or who hasn't been in Gaza, who hasn't lived there, who is not there at the moment, can't really say anything and can't really, because both sides are actually being, like I said, being terrorized by the terrorist organization. And I didn't understand when it became a trend to justify terrorists.
Speaking about terror, you hear another chant on the streets in the West, which is there is only one solution, Intifada revolution. The Intifada in Israel was a very bloody time when people were fearing for their lives to step on a bus to go to their work, to their school. How would you explain how Israelis perceive the word Intifada when they hear this chant?
It's important that I state that the pro-Palestinians are on a trend of using words they don't necessarily know the meaning of. And Intifada means everyone in the radius of, 10 centimeters is at risk. And with me, like I said, my grandma dying in a suicide bombing, Intifada, that's what that was about, the suicide bombings and the stabbings and the killings of innocent people, all in the name of standing up for yourself. And it all started, no one even knows that it started from a car accident. I mean, maybe it's because of what they felt years behind, but like a car accident that Palestinians died in the car accident. Like I learned history, I'm a lover of history, so I learn about this stuff. But to go on a rampage and kill innocent people should never be justified. And to think that that should happen again, it's a problem for me when the people that are standing up for humanity are calling for the deaths of the other side. It doesn't make sense to me.
You also mentioned that it has become a trend and that these people, they use words and terms that they have no understanding of. This trend, though, what do you think is fueling this trend? How do people get so obsessed? I mean, some people say that social media is to be blamed, and especially that TikTok has done something to brainwash a lot of people in the West, with China naturally being in control of the platform and China not being on the side of the US and the West in general. So in this case, Israel is suffering from Chinese PSYOP operations, so to say. Is this something that you believe that that social media has played an important role in getting these normally apolitical people all of a sudden marching with banners and placards and chants that they don't really understand?
I keep calling it a trend. And I keep saying that because no one really understands that this is human life we're talking about. And the fact that someone can go to TikTok and learn Israel's history is baffling. Like, you went and learned the history of an entire country from an app that is not even Israel's app, from people who don't even live here nor there. It does play a big part in how people react. And like I said, I don't have a problem having conversations and having peaceful conversations with someone. But when I have to argue about my history that I know, and in the life that I live and the things that I've been through, when I have to argue and try to justify or try to prove to someone that this is the history that we went through because of what they learned on an app, I feel it's irrelevant. I don't engage in conversations that I have to justify.
Yeah. Another of these slogans that you hear is about the need to decolonize Israel, that Israel is a colonial project. But
a colonizer.
Yes, so how does it feel being a colonizer?
It feels great. I like being a colonizer. No, there is a, how do you explain it? A lot of people like to victimize themselves into situations where white people always think that they deserve more than blacks. And people have to understand it has nothing to do with color. And I've explained it many times. In Gaza, they have an entire neighborhood for black people calling them slaves. Here, I'm not going to lie. I don't lie. Blacks are not treated in the way that everyone, in the way they should be treated, because everywhere there is
racism here as well.
Pretty much. So I'm not going to lie and say that that's not true, but I definitely don't live in a neighborhood and being called a slave. It's a difference. And the people here, there are Arabs here. There are Arabs who are doctors, women who can speak. In Muslim countries, they can't even speak. Here, they can speak, they can learn, they can teach, they can practice medicine. Black people who are in the government, Arabs who are in the government. So like I said before, I don't argue when I know what facts are.
And when we have been watching sometimes IDF units, IDF soldiers, you do see that the multicultural side of it is enormous. You have everything from Ethiopian Jews to various Mizrahi Jews from the Middle East that you wouldn't be able to tell apart from any other Iraqi or Jordanian or any other person. You have Jews from Central Asia, from the former Soviet Union, from places such as Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, who have a slightly more Asian appearance. And then you have some pale white Ashkenazi Jews with red hair. So when they say that Israel is a white supremacy project, how does that rhyme with reality?
It doesn't. It doesn't, and that's why I'm very dismissive when it comes to those situations, because the proof is in the pudding. Like, you can see it, and just like they went on TikTok and believed everything they wanted to believe about this conflict on TikTok, they can also see those videos on TikTok. But like I said, the world has a way of pushing towards selective hearing and selective sight. They see and believe what they want to believe, because you can see a video of an IDF soldier who is black and he's in the IDF. And also the soldier who died in the bombing recently, the Ethiopian soldier. And it's like they say there's no black people here, no one likes black people, or why are black people with Palestinians? But the moment they posted a picture about of the Ethiopian soldier who died, the pro-Palestinians were like, nigger, go home, you should have never been there. So it's like, you want us to not stand by Israel, where we reside in, where we take part in the IDF, where we have rights, and you want us to stand next to a people who will call us nigger or sell us in a neighborhood in Gaza. So it's like, I feel like I'm standing on the right side, black or not.
Absolutely. Another thing that you hear about the IDF is that for some reason, they are incredibly sadistic. They target children. That they are, that basically the Israeli army is not fighting a war on the same humanitarian law that other armies are. This is something that you see all over social media. Since you are surrounding yourself, you are in the army, you talk to people in the army. What is the rhetoric when they talk about the war in Israel, in Gaza?
The whole point of what is going on and what we are doing is to regain security for our country, whether it's in the South, whether it's in the North. What happened on the 7th of October took that away. And most people have to understand the difference in what happened on the 7th of October and what's happening now. On the 7th of October, the country was infiltrated, doors were knocked down, people were slaughtered, children, women, doesn't matter, whether they were black, white, yellow, purple, they were kidnapped, still being held hostage. And people keep saying that doesn't compare to what happened on the 7th of October. The difference is that the people who are losing their lives, and I condemn publicly, in a sense, losing their lives. But the people that are losing their lives today are people that are being held as human shields near places that we plan to attack, because we do let them know before we attack where we'll be attacking, so that's how they know to put them there. And we're in war. Casualties are happening in war. And one thing people don't want to think about is, why would Hamas need human shields to begin with if Israel was just going on a rampage? They wouldn't need human shields because we wouldn't have cared. We would have attacked anyway. So the fact that they have human shields, because they know that Israel's defense force will not attack at that place if they knowingly see children and women there.
You mentioned earlier that your grandmother was killed in a terror attack. I don't know if this is anything you can share about how that happened, where it was, in what year.
It was in 2016 in Turkey, Istanbul.
The airport? Or
it wasn't in an airport. No, it's a different one. It was in 2016. She was there with my grandfather. They were on a retreat, pretty much. My grandfather was injured. My grandmother didn't come back. She came back in a body bag. But yeah, even then, like.
But this was targeting a Jewish target.
It was a group of Jewish people who traveled there. Yeah. Other Jewish people died too. And
this was an ISIS attack, or it was some other group that?
I didn't look. We don't. It was a terrorist. That's all I can say. You know, that's all I can. And I'm not comparing, and I'm not saying it's ISIS, and I'm not saying it's Hamas. I'm not really putting her in a situation, like, I'm not putting myself in a situation where I'm saying something I don't know. But it was a terrorist. Anyone who does that is a terrorist. And if your family member lost their life and was killed in a terrorist organization, you look at things in a different way. And many people, like pro-Palestinians, think that because of my anger of certain things that I've been through, I'm just blindly going after Israel. And I have every right to be angry. Things that I've been through with my grandma, or being on a bus and being attacked by the Arabs that are in this country, which was in 2021, when my bus was pretty much, they rampaged our bus with rocks and stuff, everything, glass and their hair everywhere. So I have every right to be angry, but I'm not so angry that I cloud my judgment and disregard human life. And that's why I publicly say I condemn innocence. And I put emphasis on the innocence word because I don't want you to think that I think everyone's innocent. Just the people who are innocent. There's power in that word.
In Europe, there has also been a big problem with terrorist attacks, especially when ISIS was fighting in Syria and Iraq in 2015, 16, 17, 18. We had a string of terror attacks that took place across the continent, really, in the UK, in France, in Germany. Yet Europeans seem to still be quite oblivious to the threat that is posed by radical Islam with this ideology of Islamism, because as you mentioned earlier, not every Muslim is adhering to this ideology, but it has been growing in strength from the 50s or 60s even. What do you think? Why are people in the West so unwilling to face the music and realize that there is a problem?
I feel like they are kind of blinded by the whole situation, and it's not happening there now. If it was happening in any other place now, the whole world, it would be an uproar against the terrorists. We've seen 9/11 and anything that happened when a terrorist organization did what they did, the reactions were different. And I feel like Israel is at a loss when it comes to this situation because they don't have a fighting chance in any argument. I talked about it before, and I said, does 9/11 have to happen now for you to understand where we're coming from? Because terrorists are terrorists. Whether it's written in their charter that they want to remove or annihilate an entire population, they're willing to do so. So they'll do it to anyone. It has nothing to do with Jew, not Jew, because you've seen on the 7th of October, some who were not Jews were also killed.
Sure, a lot of Muslim Palestinians.
Also Bedouins who were Arabs, Muslims who were kidnapped and also killed. I don't even know why people don't talk about the fact that Israel, actually, the IDF had to stop a Bedouin community from entering Gaza because they wanted their revenge. And any Muslim knows that it's like eye for an eye and stuff like that. So they were not giving up and they wanted to enter Gaza and get it back. So it has nothing, it's part of defending your country and understanding that you are living on the side of a terrorist organization who is continuously threatening you. Even now that they have the whole world, well, not the whole world, but now that they have the people on their side, it's like they feel like it's okay to say it again or to threaten to do it again because they can, because the world is basically legitimizing what they're doing. And the craziest thing is that the people who are chanting and running against us are college and university students. You're supposed to be smart. You don't even learn the history. You don't even check your facts. You hear something from TikTok and for you, that's a fact. I don't.
Yeah. I think we have time for one final question. If there would be one thing, one message that you could send to the world about the situation in Israel after October 7th, what would that be?
I say this a lot. I feel like a broken record. It would be to stand up against terrorism. I don't disagree with taking sides. If you want to be pro-Palestinian, pro-Israel, it doesn't matter to me. I am pro-Israel, obviously, but the bigger picture here is terrorism. We are legitimizing and we are letting terrorists get away with being terrorists. And it started here, but it can continue somewhere else. So we need to just stand up against terrorism.
Yeah, and people seem to be losing track of what really matters, because now when you hear these other chants of Yemen, Yemen, make us proud, turn another boat around, they forget that the Houthis in Yemen killed tens of thousands of Yemenis in a brutal civil war.
Hamas, they kill Palestinians. They don't care about their own. They've never shown that they care about the people that they are so-called governing. They never showed that they care. They send their children to slaughter. They still send their children to kill. They are proud of their children when they kill. I don't want to justify something like that. I don't want to live in a world where something like that is justified, whether it's Israel, Gaza, America, UN, it doesn't matter. I don't want to live in a world where killing, slaughtering, raping, and kidnapping is okay.
Well, there will certainly be other Islamist terror groups around after this war, but it looks like Hamas at least is coming to an end in Gaza, and there won't be any threat of rockets or any other terror plots being planned from there. So fingers crossed in the next couple of months, that will be a problem that the world will get rid of.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.